Have you ever dreamed of packing up your life, hitting the road and taking your career with you? That's exactly what Jess and Millie did. Two midwives, two incredible stories, travelling across Australia, delivering babies in regional and rural towns, building an unbreakable friendship along the way.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's not just the job and it's not just being a midwife, but it's also kind of adventure. And it's giving me, because of what it's giving me, I put more into my work now because I'm not burnt out.
Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe if you want to hear more stories from inspiring healthcare professionals.
We care for the land and sea. We care.
So today we're sitting down with Jess and Millie, two adventurous, passionate midwives who've swapped permanent jobs for contracts, caravans, and the freedom to write their own stories. Welcome to It Takes Heart, ladies.
Thank you.
So let's be honest, you came in to visit the office yesterday and I think it was you, Millie, who said to me, I'm the happiest I've ever been
In
since
31 years.
That's what I thought it was. In
Yeah.
31 years.
Yeah.
And
I'm the
it
happiest I've
literally
been in
stopped
31
me in my
years.
tracks. And I accosted you in the lift and was like,
Want to do a podcast?
and you said yes.
Yes, of course.
Are you both okay?
Well, we kind of
I know
looked
what
at, we
it's
were
like to be
what
accosted
was
by
it
Sam in
yesterday?
reception. And
This is a different agency though. This is a different recruitment company. You guys care so much about us that for us it's easy to come back to you and say, absolutely, we're on board. Very
Yeah.
easy.
I appreciate that because I know it was a lot.
It was
I was giving you hugs and you were just like, who are you?
this
What are you
person?
She
doing?
ran out of her meeting and was like, oh my God.
I know. I was working from home yesterday and my team gave me a little heads up. It's like, just so you know, I think you're doing another one tomorrow. I was like, what?
We're good. Let's do it. So let's start there.
Yeah.
The friendship.
Absolutely.
How did you two meet? Where? Tell us.
Ceduna.
It was Ceduna last year.
On contract.
On contract. So
Yeah.
we both have the same recruiter,
Yeah.
Sarah, and she'd told both of us that, listen, for me, it was like, Millie's coming to start. You're going to love her. You're going to be really, really great. And just we went from there. We got each other's numbers.
Yeah.
We met up the day before Millie started her contract. We had dinner.
We had a Sunday roast the day before I started.
Yes.
I love it.
I didn't know anybody in town.
And how did that make you feel?
Very
Was it
small
like,
town. It means a lot when somebody goes out of their way to not only meet you, but sort of say, hey, welcome. I'm agency too.
Yeah.
You're going to love it here. And I'm here to kind of walk by your side.
How long had you been in Ceduna?
6 weeks. I was halfway through my contract.
okay.
Yeah. And so then, we met for dinner. And then the next day I was like, listen, meet me at the entrance to the hospital in the morning at this time. I'll walk you in. We'll go in together.
Yeah.
It's scary starting a new place when it's
Totally.
small.
And was that your first ever contract?
No.
No, okay,
That was
so-
contract number 4.
So how did that compare to your other starts?
Oh, completely different. I'm just thinking. I hadn't had anyone in my other contracts. I hadn't had anyone who had reached out beforehand. But then, it helps that you're Cornerstone, that we've got the same recruiter. So that was quite seamless. But that also, that first day, you kind of took me under your wing and you gave me orientation. You gave me all lowdown of what was what.
Because agency knows what agency needs to know.
Yeah.
So, you'll get orientated by the permanent staff and they do a wonderful job, but then sometimes as agency, because you're so used to going to a new environment, this is the little 411 that you need to know about this facility that agency to agency doesn't always kind of get told.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it normal to make these kinds of friendships
Yeah, is
on
this
placement?
one of many,
is this,
or-
yeah.
Well, I haven't. So there was a third nurse that we met in Ceduna that we've got our own little trio. But outside of that, probably not. There's there's nurses and midwives I'm really good friends with, but the connection that Millie and I have, I feel, is just a bit more than what I've made previously.
And the fact that I've made good friends along the way, but most of these people that I've met are permanent residents of the places that I've been. So in order to see them, I sort of have to go back or keep in touch with social media and stuff. I think the thing with Jess is that she's travelling too and I'm travelling. So although we're now we're really ever in the same place at the same time, but our lives are so incredibly similar. It's so easy to relate to each other. And that, just when you go somewhere new, you have a hard day, maybe you don't feel like you're fitting in, you get it. And it's very comforting to have a friend who gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's understand first why you both became midwives. Like, if we take it back, like, did you both always want to be
'Cause you were nurses
midwives
first.
Yeah.
I was.
How did
Jess.
it go? Do you want to start, Jess?
Well, I did to originally get into nursing. I did a student placement through high school, like a work placement in a NICU at my local hospital back in Newcastle, and just fell in love with the nurses. Just the amazing job they did caring for these tiny little humans. So I went and did my nursing degree, and then I was working as a nurse for 2 years and saw the advertisement for the midwifery program, and I kind of went up to the unit and just sussed it out a little bit. I was like, oh, this is something I could see myself doing. Committed to it, did it. It was a bit impulsive, but then I haven't looked back.
Yeah.
And it's just found my calling.
Yeah,
And so
absolute
do you do
calling.
nursing and midwifery contracts or purely midwifery?
I've just done purely midwifery, but some of the midwifery contracts, because we're in smaller hospitals, you will do a bit of nursing.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah.
And what about for you?
Up to date. I came out of high school, I started psychology, which was not the best decision I've ever made. I was sitting having frozen yogurt with an old friend of mine, and she noticed, so a pregnant woman walked past the window, and I kind of took my breath away, and she was like, have you ever thought about being a midwife? And at that point, I'd not thought about it. And then it was something I was like, ooh, am I smart enough? Am I capable enough? You know, it's not like this decision to go into healthcare is not one that you just make spontaneously. And then signed up. I did a double degree. So over 4 years, I did both my nursing and my mid. Smashed it out. It was hard, but it was actually incredibly easy to get done because I loved it so much. And then, started working, and then gave it probably about 4 years. Had just an incredible passion for breastfeeding and supporting mamas in feeding their babies however they want to feed them and supporting them.
So stressful.
Yes.
And no one I didn't know about that until
my
I had children. I was like,
Yes.
what?
Yeah. So did my studies and became a lactation consultant.
Yeah.
So now that's on the cards too,
Yeah.
which is really exciting, and it's something I'm really, really passionate about.
Yeah.
And so
I
when
love.
did you both, were you in permanent jobs initially and then moved to agency?
Yeah, what
How
prompted
and
that?
when
Yeah.
and why did that happen?
Although I had 3 jobs before I took the first agency gig, because I was trying to manage my own burnout, which I hadn't recognised. I was doing a midwife role, I was doing a nursing role, and I was teaching in primary schools as well.
What were you teaching?
Teaching what?
Like, like puberty, sex
Yeah,
ed,
right,
that kind of
right,
stuff.
right, yes.
Like
which was
school nurse,
actually
yeah.
the most refreshing change from working inside healthcare. But all of the stuff that you know and you love teaching, and you know, kids get really excited about it.
Very topical in my house at
So,
the minute.
yeah.
I've been given, as an auntie, I've been given the honorary role of doing that education when the time comes.
Oh, wow.
Maybe we can
Maybe
swap
as a
numbers.
CMO employee, I can get you to do ours as well.
But then I don't even really remember why, but I got an email about maybe it was to do with LinkedIn, and it led me to Cornerstone, and then the first job, it was in Mildura, and it was for a community midwife role, which felt like something is pulling me in that kind of direction. It just felt right. So I was like, yep, let's do it. It all happened. I got there, and that was it. I haven't looked back.
What you talked about burnout there, like what were the signs? Like, so you didn't even realise you were burnt out. And did you then leave your permanent job and go straight
I
into
quit
that?
all
You
3
quit
jobs.
all 3.
Yeah.
Like,
That was
that
it.
what were
Quite
the
a quick
signs you
decision,
missed?
or- yeah.
Yeah, it happened. It happened all within kind of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we were at a picnic, and I told my family. I gave them all letters and made them spell out the word Mildura, and I said, "Look, I'm moving." Thank you. But it was...
How did they respond?
I was just going to say that would be one hell of a picnic. Yeah.
Like, I'm not a stranger to like mental health issues, and I think sort of 2021, 22, I was roller coastering, and then I thought that I was sort of getting back on track, but I was still feeling internally, I was feeling quite hollow. I was feeling my career, like my work life with 3 jobs, but I still felt really depleted and really empty. I was not loving being a midwife, which initially was the thing that was like getting me out of bed in the morning. I was getting frustrated. There's something called like compassion fatigue,
Yes.
and I was frustrated at everybody. I was frustrated at patients, at staff, at colleagues, at friends, at family. And I just thought something needs to change, but I didn't know what it was until that email from Cornerstone came through. And I called and I spoke to my recruiter, who's still my recruiter now, Sarah. She's great. And it was like, I'm really interested in this role. Community midwifery, a little bit different from hospital-based midwifery.
How so?
It was a little bit more continuity, which for us midwives, we love when you get to see a mama, a family, a baby again and again.
Start to finish.
Yes. It is the like creme de la creme of midwifery. And was working at a clinic where I would get to be a bit more autonomous. I would not have the stress of shift work, and it was good. And then when I got into it, settled, found my feet, the clinic became, they were very, very welcoming, and made some very, very good friends. I started within myself, I started to feel a lot better, and I started to, like my mood was lifting, and I just was feeling really, really, I was falling back in love with midwifery, and it was amazing. I think that then gave me the confidence. When Mildura wrapped up, I bought a caravan. That's a whole nother story.
How long did you go into that contract
then
for? Like when you took that opportunity and moved your life, like how long were you sort of going for?
It was 2 contracts, but over the span of 8 months.
Yeah.
And that kind of gave me this confidence in being a midwife. And I was like, I think I can keep doing this. This agency stuff can be a little scary when you think I'm going to move from place to place. Do I have it in me to do that? But I think I'd picked up enough of what I needed from that first contract to then go into the second, third, fourth, fifth, and now sixth. You just roll with it.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful to hear that from such a place of struggle.
Yeah.
That so many people might be in that position and think this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Like I've got to leave. I can't be a midwife.
But to reignite
I can't do
that
healthcare,
joy.
I can't do anything.
Especially
It's
after COVID.
Yeah.
Because that wiped the slate for a lot of people in terms of their passion and their ability to be compassionate with themselves and with patients and families and that kind of thing, to then find it again. Yeah.
How long did it take at Mildura till you found that passion? Like
Not long, a month or 2.
Like it's amazing to think that to go from that in a month and then to feel that and then get that confidence and that joy back. Like imagine if you hadn't have, you might not be in the profession now, you know?
Part of it, I think, was also moving out of the city.
Yeah.
Melbourne metropolitan life for me was feeling too heavy, too stressful, crazy, chaotic. I wanted not a sea change, but I just wanted to get out and see if life could feel simpler. And it was. And now that I've been out of Melbourne for 1.5 years, if not more, when I do go back to Melbourne, it's a bit heavy.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a bit heavy. It's like, okay, there's traffic. There's like all of these people, all of these shops, everything's happening.
All of the time.
All of the time.
Everything's on.
And then you go and live in, Ceduna. Ceduna has 0 traffic lights. And it is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It is roundabouts, and it is easy parking everywhere, and it is walking distance everywhere. and it is walking into the hospital and you see the same people every day. There's something beautiful and fulfilling about that kind of life.
And so you're now sold. You've bought a caravan, you just said. Why, Jess, did you step into more agency contract work?
I'd been working my last permanent role. I've been there for 6 years, and I'd rotate. So I was on an antenatal ward, and I'd rotate to the clinic for 4 weeks because we had to rotate to keep our skills up. And I'd gone from doing shift work, overtime, flogging myself, working 50-hour weeks, 60-hour weeks, to going to doing 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Had my weekends back, had my nights back. And I was only there for a month, but I walked up to my boss halfway through, and the gist of the conversation was, I hate my life, I hate my job, and I hate being here. And I need to go do something about it. And I was lucky enough that I didn't have any dependents aside from my dog, that I could just pack up my life.
Because you both travel with your animals.
Yeah.
Dog and your cat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Billy.
So
Rosie.
yes. So
Thought they would have come in.
Did Billy and Rosie get on?
Billy is
Dog and
in
the cat.
Melbourne and Rosie is...
in Bairnsdale.
Yeah.
So that was about the May, and I had the lease of my rental till October, so I took a bit of time. I said to my workplace, I'd like 12 months leave without pay. And that had to go to the executive, of course, and they were like, we might want to negotiate. I said, I understand that because we're still in a staffing crisis, but anything less than 6 months, I'm resigning. You say no, I'm resigning. And they luckily said yes. So I packed up when my lease was up, started my first contract in Canberra, and then just loved the work so much that I last year resigned permanently.
Wow.
So
So
this is the new life.
this is the new life.
It is.
And did you have that same, Millie talked about the same feelings, like burnout and falling out of love a little bit, and you were like, I hate my life, I hate what I'm doing.
Yeah.
How long till you fell back in love? Was there a moment when you fell back in love with...
Oh, I felt that being in a new place, surrounded by people that were... My colleagues were supportive, but were all really burnt out. But then, I think just going somewhere new and just not having to worry about the politics of a place, just being able to go in and concentrate on the job that I love.
Do your job.
Yeah.
And being able to go home and not worry about it within weeks, I was like, oh, yes, like I just needed to change. Because I got really condescending to my colleagues in my permanent job. Like I got really miserable. You could tell in my attitude that I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And
I guess if you're all burnt out together, you can't even support each other.
And that's
because
the
no
thing,
one
like-
has capacity.
Yeah.
exactly, like you
Toxic
just...
workplace.
Yeah, it would create...
Everybody was fatigued. We're all doing massive amounts of overtime because of the short staffing. And so you want to support everybody, but I can't even support myself. How can I support somebody else? And so I'd thought about it for a while, doing agency work, but kind of never really think, oh, no, it's all right. I'll get through, she'll be right. But then being a single person wanting to buy a home in my hometown was impossible to begin with. And then it was like, but why do I want to buy a house when I don't like my job? So that was, packed up, me and my dog in the car, off we've gone, and we haven't looked back since.
Do you guys have breaks where you go home, or do you just go from contract to contract?
I just go contract to contract.
Yeah.
I took a break after my first one because it's Christmas time, so I went home for Christmas. But I tend to just, if I get 4 days off, I'll fly home and see the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just tend to go contract to contract because I'm just exploring at the same time. So
Was it difficult from a financial perspective? Like, did it feel like a really big risk?
Oh, yeah.
Was that a real...
To step away from the comfort of permanent employment and knowing...
Well, it's why I took 12 months leave without pay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if this doesn't work, if I don't like this, I need to have something secure to come back to. But then I also then wasn't having to worry about paying rent and utilities and all that kind of stuff. It was just, I just got my car and the fuel that I need and some spending money.
So you drive?
I drive.
Everywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drive everywhere. It was scary not having that security in a job, but then I was like, well, I work in healthcare. There's always going to be a need for nurses and
Staff
midwives.
shortage.
So
Maybe something-
I'm kind of
maybe
like, if
something
I
will
don't
come
like it,
up.
I can go somewhere else.
I've grown up with my dad always saying, well, no, like with this career is that, you'll never be out of a job.
100%.
He loves the fact that I'm doing contract work because it's sort of like close to what he's been doing for majority of his life. And he's like, you're in high demand, you'll never be out of a job. I think for me, I'm lucky in that I went from Mildura to Bairnsdale, and then I went to Whyalla, Ceduna. I had pretty good consistency. So for me now, I know that I can trust that there's going to be jobs, especially if you're willing to travel a little bit, you're willing to go off the beaten track. we both started at the same time, October 2023. And I think when you work, you do a number of contracts, you begin to really feel like you're not just an agency worker, but you're part of the family and you're part of the company.
Yeah.
And you know that like you're the, recruiter consultant that you've got is going to look after you and is going to, do their best to find the next job for you. So it's easy to feel reassured and to trust the process.
Yeah.
Is the dream to travel together and maybe travel in your caravan and go on contract?
She is
and
not
keep going
a
together?
camper, but the
No,
dream is to do
I
contracts
can't.
together.
I love a caravan. My dog is too big for a caravan.
Right.
What's your dog have you got?
She's a Kelby Cross Black Labrador.
Oh, wow,
gorgeous.
yeah.
She's gorgeous, but she's too big for a caravan. So I would happily travel in a caravan, but my dog will not be able to travel in a caravan.
We do really want to do a contract
but we
together,
do.
though.
Right, we need to get Sarah on
set
that.
that up.
Can I ask though, were you a camper and used to caravans before you bought one? Like, is that because I've just come back from a caravanning experience where we hired an RV for 2 weeks with our 3 kids.
When
and
you've
drove
never
around
camped
Queensland.
before, ever.
Never camped. Like we went from 0 to 200. It felt like.
Yeah, I was like with 3 kids in a caravan.
With 3
that's
kids
a
in a
lot.
caravan, shared
young
amenity blocks, taking like a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old.
So I don't
So,
need
yeah, did
amenity
you-
blocks because I've got everything.
So had you done this before, or were
completely
you just like out
set
there? I just want to get a caravan now.
So I can be a little bit impulsive and spontaneous. I had never caravanned before. I'd never towed anything before. I had the car for it. Amazing, perfect. There was a beautiful nurse that I worked with in Mildura, and her and her partner were in a caravan. And I'd sort of been thinking about it a little bit before that, but then that made things like, whoa, okay, I really think I want to do this. Also means that I can then have my cat with me all the time, which is my life goal. So honestly, I did a little bit of research, but I came across like Snowy River Caravans and I found the one I wanted, and then I put a deposit down and then I bought it and it all happened.
Here we are.
And here we are. And I learnt to tow on my own, and I learnt to hitch and unhitch, and I learnt to do it all, and it's fun and I love it.
Good on you.
It's fabulous.
It's so difficult to find accommodation for a lot of healthcare
Yeah.
workers.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have the budget, they can hire people, but there's nowhere to house them.
Nowhere to-
I mean,
yeah.
we've come across that
Yeah.
numerous times.
Also
So you're
means that I'm not
actually
packing
helping.
up. I'm not
Yes.
Yeah.
unpacking, packing. It means that I've got everything I want with me. I'm also in my own space, which I have lots of. It's like a little jungle. I have lots
She
of.
keeps adding plants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got lots of fake plants. So
Well,
I
having
don't
been
have
on
to-
this caravan tour, like, the proper caravan people, like, it's
Yeah.
a
It's a
home,
setup.
it's a setup,
Yeah.
it's
It
decked
is. It's
out,
my
it's got
safe
lights.
space.
Yeah,
I think yours was very
home.
temporary.
Ours
And
was
I-
cold and clinical. There was more in this than there.
It is.
Oh, are you going to keep
I'll show you
caravanning?
photos. I'll show you photos. I think you'll appreciate the
Yeah.
decor inside. But it's like a safe space for me. So, you're away from home and you're starting a new job and then you're starting another new job. But my caravan for me is like my little. Yeah, it's just my little
Sanctuary.
Safe haven,
Yeah, it
your
is.
sanctuary.
Yeah.
Like, you've learned how to hitch and tow. What else have you two learned about yourselves on these contracts? I mean, even going into new places all the time, having to meet new people, be the new person. Like,
It's really weird because I'm the person that has my core group of friends from high school.
Yeah.
And then, and then uni. And then,
And me.
well, I haven't gotten to you yet.
you're not in there yet.
You're
Hang
not
on.
in there yet. So I'm
You have
the
your
pers-
own chapter.
I have my own book.
I'm the person that's got my core group of friends from high school and uni, and despite how confident that I come across, I'm actually quite shy of meeting new people. So being able to then do agency and having to come out of my comfort zone to be able to be like, oh, we're having dinner tonight, and I only know one person, being like, oh, do I really want to go? Because I don't know anybody. I'm going to be really awkward. But then having to be able to integrate myself into that's been a big lesson for me. And I think a lot of people will be surprised because I'm very confident. I'm the planner and I know what we're doing and it's all good. Meeting new people still causes me a bit of anxiety when I'm the outsider in this situation.
Yeah.
But then I do adopt people under my wing like Millie because I've been there. Like, I've been there before and I know what the vibe is like. So I will bring this person into the fold if I can to make it easier for them. But having to, make friends outside of what I've known for, 34 years has been a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shows people that it can be done though, and if you
Yeah,
think that that's the
totally.
one
Yeah.
thing holding you back from maybe this sort of
Yeah.
Oh, you've
chapter.
got two. I think you've got two perfect examples here of people who you would not expect them to be the ones who are traveling, doing contracts, getting out there, and now actually kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. It's a whole new life. A whole new
Yeah,
way.
it is.
Let's talk about midwifery, because we were having this conversation before. Like, it's got to be a tough gig. You know, if you think about, a lot of people would think it's just cuddling babies and beautiful moments.
best
and-
time of
That's what
Yeah.
a lot of people say.
I always say it's the
you must
highest.
love it.
We see the highest of highs, but we see the lowest of lows.
Yeah, like I had a fairly traumatic experience first time round, and I just remember the midwife in the room and how special they were to me. But really realising it's not about cuddling baby. There are outcomes that aren't so
Cuddling
positive,
babies is like the
and-
smallest part of our job.
Yeah.
You know, just the range that we see in just one specialty is, we see the people in the lowest of lows of their days, then we do the highest of highs when, everything goes well. But
And that could be going from one birthing suite to the next.
yeah, an 8-hour
reading a
shift.
room.
Yeah, an
Yeah.
8-hour shift, you can deliver a baby, go back onto the postnatal ward, help somebody breastfeed, somebody comes in, you're doing an assessment to make sure they're well and healthy, and
Taking phone calls.
How do you manage the highs and lows? Like, when you both talked about burnout, is that burnout in midwifery? Is that burnout? There's so much burnout in healthcare.
So much.
How do you manage?
leaning on the village you've got.
Yeah.
So that's something Millie and I have worked out really well in our friendship.
It's
is,
probably one of the reasons why we bonded so well.
is
And why our
leaning-
friendship is so strong is because we
lean on each other.
I guess to be open.
Yeah, and it's just
we allow one another to really
have our space.
the
Have our
heartbreak
feelings.
is to really like melt into the heartbreak and talk about it.
I walked out of work one day, one of my contracts, and just sent her a message being like, I've had a really shit day. When are you free to talk? And
Yeah.
she's like, I'll be free at this time. And
Yeah.
then we spoke for like 2 hours on the phone. And it wasn't all about the crappy day. It was just we then deviated like we do onto everything else
Yeah.
that we haven't talked about. But it's leaning on your village
Yeah.
to whether it's calling your mum, your dad, a friend, just being able to debrief about it all, because it's really tough some days. And
Yeah.
you need to, and the important thing is, me and Millie, we know the job. We're both midwives. We know what the lows can be. And so having somebody that understands and just supports you in all that is just really good.
And I guess when you talked about back in the more metro-y jobs that you weren't happy in, you couldn't give that compassion to your patients by the sounds of it. You
No.
were, you
then you
couldn't
can't give it to yourself.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
That's tough.
I think something I've learnt over the past 6-7 years is the first place that you need to be kind and gentle starts with you. You can call upon your village. You can like you call it a village, I call it a support team. It's much of a muchness. It's the people that you feel safe with and that you can call upon when you need, but is taking that time to be, if you've had a really hard shift or maybe a couple of shifts, you've followed a family, maybe if they've lost a pregnancy, there's numerous things in maternity that can be very, very difficult to, not only for the women and the families to go through, but also for the healthcare providers to care for, is almost saying to yourself, like, it's okay to be feeling like this right now.
Yeah.
It is okay to be feeling completely heartbroken. Almost like you're validating your own feelings.
I always say to my women, be kind to yourself after you've had a baby. Your hormones are out of whack for weeks, possibly months. And I'm always saying to them, be kind to yourself and to your family. But then it's about, I've got to be kind to myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not always kind to myself.
Yeah.
Because we're the worst judgments of character on ourselves.
And then when you've got good friends and good support systems, you can remind each other. You can
Are
say,
there stories that stick with you?
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Share
definitely.
some?
Do you want a high or a low?
Do you want to do one of each?
Bit of both.
So a low, it's a low end and then it ends in a high. So I was a student midwife back in 2017, and we'd had a lady come in who thought she'd felt her baby move. She was about 38 weeks pregnant and in fact had lost her baby. And so I worked a double shift to stay caring for her through the entire labour and deliver the baby. And she delivered at 1 a.m. You know, we're all completely upset. It's an absolutely devastating experience to be a part of, especially as a student. But then for 2.5 years later, I was at my next job and I get a message from one of my colleagues, and she'd come in and had another baby. And they wanted me to know because they still thought of me and the support I gave them during the most horrendous time of their life. And so they sent me a photo. They got to send me a photo of their new little family, and they said, we just still wanted to thank you because we still think of you, but we've now had this beautiful new baby. And that's why we do our jobs.
Oh, that's so
You've got us all.
I know, I was like, I'm really tearing now. I was like, I promised I was going to cry if I told this story.
You could not cry.
I know, but it's things like that when they still think of you years down the track, and you're like, oh, just...
You actually had an impact in
Yeah,
that
and it was
moment.
the worst time of their life, and they still think of you years later when it becomes when they have a positive experience, and it's just
You made a difference.
You have this
what an
ability in a
incredible-
profession
and,
to,
and that's why we do what we do, and it's why we love what we love, because of those experiences that you then get out of the good and the bad. And it was my birthday yesterday.
Oh my God, I didn't even know happy birthday for that. I was like, me, be on the podcast.
But I got a message from a girl I looked after last year, one of my contracts, and she thanked me for bringing her baby into the world on my birthday.
That was a big one because
And
you looked after her for
6 days. 6 days straight, looked
and
after
you
her.
advocated for her.
And yeah, so I got a message yesterday on my birthday being like, thank you so much to the best midwife who brought our baby into the world. We still think of you. And I was just like, it's what we do, we do.
That's so special.
And we don't go into it looking for validation, but then when we do get it, it's just like, yes, like.
And do you think if you're going on contract into smaller towns that you have even bigger impact and you really can connect with patients more and have more of that continuity, I guess, long-term care?
If you're there on a longer contract, yes, because women will get to know you and stuff. But I think also sometimes if they're used to a high turnover in midwives, they don't allow themselves to because they're like, oh, you're only going to be here for 6 weeks. Then I'll have to meet somebody else. So it all just depends on what stage you come into their lives of their pregnancy and what you're there for. Because when we were on Ceduna, we were doing MGP, which is group practice, so we have an allocation of women. And so, you know, we had some lovely births with our women and that we were there for postnatally, so we got to do that, the end part. So then, you know, that was really beautiful. But then some women, we're just there for the beginning, we've seen them twice, then they get somebody else. So some of them are just like, oh, you're just another one in a string of people. So I also think from their perspective, it's hard.
That would be really difficult,
And how about for you, Millie? Any really...
I would say maybe part of the reason why, like I said to you, Sam, I said I'm the happiest that I've been in 31 years is because in the past, like, year and a half, I've gotten the most feedback from patients and families, mamas, about the care that I've given them. Very, very, very sweet bunches of flowers and cards and chocolates that just take your breath away, because at some point it's hard to believe that you're able to make them feel like that. I think when you remove yourself from being a permanent staff member, where you can get a little bit caught up in the politics, the management side of things, and this almost becomes, I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's not just the job and it's not just being a midwife, but it's also kind of adventure. And it's giving me, because of what it's giving me, I put more into my work now because I'm not burnt out and I'm not.
The more your cup is full, the
Yeah.
more you can give.
And it's almost like an undiluted, whereas if when you're permanent and you've got all the other stuff in the work, it's kind of dilutes it, whereas it's a really concentrated, raw experience.
Absolutely. I've had the breastfeeding support that I've been able to give in the past, 6-12 months, and just the mamas, and when they look at me and they say thank you, and it's the simplest stuff, but it means the most. Midwifery is definitely not all high. There's definitely lows.
And
but
probably been a lot of high stress in some of those situations.
Oh, yeah.
Too,
There is so much stress.
Moments where you think like, okay, I need more hands on deck. Who can I call? What am I doing? Oh my goodness.
Babies like to be tricky.
Yes, I was going to say
They like to be tricky.
Yes.
They really like to trick us.
Yeah.
And we go, can you please just like...
Just take it all.
Just take a moment, mate. Just settle. It's all good.
Yeah.
Like all of it.
Yeah.
I think, like, no, I'm not discrediting anybody else out there, but I think midwives are an incredible bunch of people because I don't know. I've watched midwives do magical things and be incredibly resilient and strong and compassionate, even when the cup's full.
And that's
they
what
have
you
to be-
I was just going to say, you said
Even when the
earlier
cup's
about,
empty.
you know, if you think about having a surgery, the patient's asleep.
Yeah, like
You
you
know,
have to-
whereas
you
you've
have
got
to
the
be
patient,
everything
the
for
partner,
everyone.
there's so many things like going
to
on.
support
you know.
everyone.
Be
Yeah,
around
that moment.
therapy,
Yeah, and all the
the
use-
mood lighting,
Husband
the playlist.
playlist.
What's are we allowed
The
to ask
shower.
the craziest thing that, you know, that you've seen where someone's needed like a playlist request, or is there anything like that was like off the chart?
I mean, some of the women love to
really
have.
like-
I mean, some women have
Honey,
some
I could write a
amazing
book.
things. They have some wonderful, wonderful things they wish that they want to do. Not always the best options.
I just always think the best thing is just to be open-minded. I think when you write a very, very, very structured birth plan, you're setting expectations up and, you know, there's room for being disappointed.
Home births, water births, are they
I like toilet births.
toilet births?
It
Yeah,
opens up
I
the
love
pelvis.
it.
It's really great.
Yeah.
Is that
Just a mama on the toilet being like, and
But
you're
is
like,
that what you do? Is that what
"Alrighty."
you would do in the hospitals to go, or is that
Anywhere.
it just
Or that
happens?
just
in
It
the
just
hallway,
happens.
in the car
Yeah.
park,
Yeah.
shower,
Yeah.
Toilet.
I mean, they'll birth anywhere.
Anywhere,
They'll
floor,
birth anywhere.
bed.
Yeah.
they'll
When
work
it's coming, it's coming. You
It's
can't.
there.
Yeah, I
you
was like,
can't-
Well, I
We-
was
you
I was a C-section.
So no,
mine.
you cannot.
Couldn't have that. So I
nothing wrong
don't
with that.
know.
Nothing wrong with that.
Whereas
But
I was a very premature, spontaneous.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You just
What do
got
you
to hope that we can get a pair of gloves on
Yeah.
and a towel if need be
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
just catch the baby.
Yeah.
I had the other day, I was like walking into the room. I can't remember, it was night shift, I think. And I had a student with me. She was absolutely gorgeous. And we were going into the room of someone that was like baby number 4 and she was niggling. So you don't really know what she's doing. And I pull out on the wall, I just pull out 2 pairs of gloves and I stuck one in her pocket and I stuck one in mine and I just look at her and I'm like, you never trust a multi.
No, never trust the
Because you
multi.
don't. You never know what they're going to do.
So someone that's had more than one baby.
Yeah.
They go because normally it's like each pregnancy gets quicker. Your labour gets quicker with each pregnancy. So by the time you're
Right.
to baby 3 or 4, you're like you're going to birth a baby in like 2 hours.
Right.
Then you can't rely on that because...
No, mine wasn't.
No, and it's not the case for everybody.
hope
but
so.
I love
yeah.
it. Never trust a multi.
No,
Never
'cause they'll
trust
be
a
like,
multi.
they'll be fine, they'll be fine, they'll be fine, they'll be fine, and then you'll
And
just
then-
hear them,
Yeah, you'll hear the grunt.
and
Yeah.
you'll think, okay, all
All
right,
right,
we're
we're
going.
going. God. Have they ever had a playlist where you're like, oh, I can't work under
Can't
this
hear the song
condition?
again.
I had somebody play heavy metal.
Oh, that would have
wow.
been
I
a very
have.
like
It was just very screaming heavy metal, and it was just like I
wow.
need to leave because my brain is going to just
Explode.
explode.
Yeah.
and you probably can't go on.
One of my girls in Ceduna, she birthed to Van Morrison. And
Brown-eyed
then-
girl.
No, I can't remember. It was just a Van Morrison playlist.
It's the only one I know.
And then so when I finished up, and she, I can't remember, maybe when he was like a month or 2 old, and she like sent a photo and then sent like a link to the song to play Van Morrison again, and I was like, ooh, this is pulling on heartstrings.
All the feels.
That's
yeah.
nice.
I guess if you had a little bit of advice for people who might be thinking, maybe the same position, they're either at a crossroads, or maybe I can't do it, or is it for me, or any of those sorts of moments, what would you say to them?
You can
Do
do
it.
it.
What's hard though? Because
Yeah.
I mean,
you guys,
it's-
everything's been. I know it's not been roses.
It's
I know
not.
there's some
No,
places
no.
that
It's
are
not,
tough. but
It's not been
it's-
all
yeah, what's hard that someone should
being
know
away
about?
from
Away
home.
from the family, losing that permanency. A lot of my friends that I speak to want to do it, but they're afraid to lose the permanency of what they've got. And it's just being able to have the courage to take that leap, to be like, you know what, there's so many jobs everywhere. You can always go back. And I think you've got nothing to lose, really. But again, it's being away from your family can be tough. Being away from what you know can be tough. And if you are a bit more introvert or you don't make friends easily it can be then hard being the new person going into a new workplace when you haven't been there before, but it's so worth it.
You can do hard things.
Yeah, you can definitely do the hard things. We're meant to do hard things.
When you think about it, and I had someone very, very special say this to me, is that when you look back on your life and all of the hard things that you've come across and navigated through, what is your track record?
Yeah.
And you say, well, like 100%, because I've gotten through all of them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So knowing that,
I love that.
actually, you are really, really good at getting through hard things.
Yeah.
Because you've gotten through all of them.
Yeah.
They might have completely, bewildered you and broken you down, but you still got through them.
Yeah.
So you can get through
do
hard
it.
things.
You were just asking about dating.
Well, I think
It's two single gals.
that would be a realistic thing if you're going into smaller towns or you're moving all the time, and it's not always going to be on people's radar, but for people who it might be really important, and that's a concern for them of, can I go travelling?
I mean, yeah, you can still go travelling and meet people, and if you're in a small town like Ceduna, don't go on the dating apps.
There's a gorgeous,
their own little thing.
there's a gorgeous
the classifieds.
midwife.
Yeah.
There's a gorgeous midwife that I worked in Whyalla. She's from Melbourne. She came over. She found out that she was pregnant not long before she came over, and then did a contract, and then went back to her partner. She's she's like very, very close to due, or she's had a baby already, very not long ago. But it doesn't have to be something that breaks up a relationship. We've met lots of people who have.
Yeah.
It's
Plenty
like
of people
taking
are
a little
travelling
bit of
with their
time.
Take a little break.
Yeah. Partners are travelling with them. You know, there's
Or our
midwives that I've
gorgeous-
worked with that.
Gorgeous New Zealand friend
Um,
and her fiance.
that their partner might be a tradie, so they just message tradie, their
Come along and
coupler,
go work.
come along and be like, I'm going to be in town for 6 weeks. Do you need an extra set of hands?
Yep.
But yeah, if you go to the tiny town, stay off the dating apps.
Yeah. Stay off
It's a great
those.
tip.
I feel like the caravan parks are full of life. No?
No, we're not going there. We're not going there.
That's part two.
Sam, we're not talking about this.
All right. Let's go. All right, that's good.
All right.
Do you think you'll want to stop? Like, is there going to be a point where you'll be like, all right, I've done it
Is
now?
there a longer term
The time will come, but at the moment,
It's
At the
fun.
moment, no. I think in a couple of years, it'll probably get a bit tiresome just living out of my car
Yeah.
and having to pack up and
should
repack
buy
and
a
all that kind
caravan.
of
Yeah,
stuff.
she was just going to say.
Well, my dog is too big for
That's
a caravan.
right, we've gone through the dog. Yeah.
So I think eventually it might get a bit more of a, I'm just sick of packing up my shit all over
Yeah.
again. And I might, but it might be more of a, I pick somewhere permanent to stay where I go casual, and then I can still do contracts from a home base rather than just travelling permanently. See how it all goes.
So with every episode, CMR are donating to a charity of your choice. Who can we talk about?
Red Nose for me.
Yeah.
They do the education for SIDS and safe sleeping, and then provide grievance and bereavement support for those that have lost babies, pregnancies, children. That's, given my experiences in my personal life as well, that's who I'd like to bring awareness to.
Beautiful. What about for you?
M&D. It's a beautiful family friend that we lost quite a few years ago who was, very, very special to my mum. So that's who I choose.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you both so much. And not just for today.
We skimmed the surface.
Oh, I know. I was like, I don't even know
There's
that
so
we've got
much.
like the anxiety of like a time limit today. But, just what you've done, not just for us, but for the communities that you've worked with, like just seeing you both have such a glow up now, right? Like you've gone from being so burnt out and potentially not staying in a profession that you're actually both profoundly, clearly so very
And
good at
having
what you
such
do.
huge impact with
Yeah.
every family that you're obviously connecting with.
It goes both ways, so I think. We make impacts on the people that we look after, as do all healthcare professionals, but they look after us when they give us their feedback and their, their kind words. It keeps our cups full and it keeps us going.
Well, thank you. We hope we get you going for many, many more years.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
We'll be around.
We'll be around.
We're not
Awesome.
going anywhere.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
gals.
you.
Thanks.
We care for the land and sea.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land of which we meet, who for centuries have shared ancient methods of healing, and cared for their communities. We pay our respects to elders past and present.